Section 81. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My whole body feels like it's on fire. It's probably just a basic ability. With a whoosh, Angel, the Archangel of Fire, appeared next to Lu Yun. Hey, what do you think I snagged from that volcano? She teased him. Lu Yun just gave her a wry smile. How would I know? Seriously, this thing was practically radiating heat. If I hadn't cloaked it, the whole world would have known you walked off with it. Hearing this, something clicked in Lu Yun's mind, so, that's why he didn't see any light. She was suppressing it. This angel is seriously powerful. What level is she even at? Just then, as if it sensed its treasure was gone, the massive volcano that had been violently erupting suddenly stopped spewing flames and lava. Instead, it started belching cold air and ice. Giant clouds of white mist billowed from the crater. The temperature was plummeting, because they were so far away and the black fog was so thick. Lu Yun and the others couldn't see these changes, but Angel wasn't fooled. Heads up, little bro, she warned. That crater is blowing cold air, and it's about to get freezing around here. Once it's cold enough, everyone's going to start duking it out for treasure. If we don't bounce now, we'll be stuck here. Lu Yun was taken aback. A volcano erupting fire is now spewing ice and cooling down. It's like a real-life Game of Thrones. But Angel had a point. If the volcano really cooled down, all those treasure hunters lurking around would naturally be itching to find out where it went. They'd be climbing that 10,000-meter peak the second they could, then they'd be poking around in the crater, and when others saw them climbing, they'd swarm up there, too. It would turn into a free-for-all. Who would believe who had the treasure? They'd be pointing fingers, making accusations, and throwing punches. A massive brawl was inevitable. Lu Yun wanted no part of that. All that fighting for nothing, a total waste of time. He quickly steered the black turtle into a full-speed escape. He was taking advantage of the thick black fog that was obscuring everyone's vision. Get out while the getting's good. The black turtle accelerated, hitting its max speed of 180 knots, and just like that, Lu Yun, the chosen one, had quietly snagged the ultimate treasure while everyone else was clueless. The treasure was actually with Angel, and she was using her power to completely hide its light. Later, Lu Yun arrived at the fairy continent. He happened to overhear people talking about the battle for the treasure. Apparently, the fighting was brutal, with rivers of blood flowing. The sea for hundreds of miles was stained red. Hearing the news, Lu Yun couldn't help but sigh. All that fighting and killing over nothing. So many dead, what was the point? In the end, no one got their hands on the treasure, and no one knew where it went. Everyone was baffled, but they all had their suspicions and theories. Did someone make off with the treasure? Did someone sneak it away during the chaos? The treasure vanished into thin air, and no one believed it was truly gone. Someone must have snatched it and hidden it ASAP, but who? It will remain a mystery forever. Some folks kept searching, but they never uncovered the truth. Moving on. Please subscribe. 0098 level, unknown. After Angel, the Archangel of Fire, brought back the treasure, she urged Lu Yun to leave. She used her power to completely shroud the treasure's divine light. Lu Yun floored it on the black turtle, and an hour later, they were 180 nautical miles away. Even at that distance, there was still a lot of volcanic ash in the air. The sea was littered with dead fish. It was clear how destructive that volcanic eruption had been. An hour later, the treasure's radiance had completely faded. Angel turned to Lu Yun and asked, "So, any guesses what I got?" Lu Yun carefully scanned her. Aside from her beauty, she looked the same as always. Her hands were empty. Lu Yun shook his head. No idea. What is it? Purple flame holy ring. Function test. Kai, Naya, Akalis, and Joseph Jean were gathered nearby. They were all eager to see what the volcano had produced. Angel smiled, holding up a delicate hand with skin as smooth as porcelain. Check it out. It's this ring. This ring is something special. How are you going to thank me? She slipped the ring off her finger and held it out to Lu Yun. Then she added softly, "Why don't you come visit my palace and stay a few days?" Lu Yun blushed. Why did this gorgeous fire angel always have to joke like that? He took the ring and examined it closely. It was a purple ring with a coiled dragon engraved on it. The texture was unremarkable, the design was plain. If Angel hadn't been summoned by him and wasn't completely loyal, he would have suspected she swapped it out. Could this really be the treasure that took tens of millions of years to create? It all seemed so ordinary. He checked the data panel. Item, purple flame holy ring, grade. Quality. Function, contains purple flame holy fire, capable of refining anything. Features, can refine ordinary metals into ultra-high quality refined metals. Description, nurtured by the Earth's core for millions of years. Contains endless energy and endless fire. Usage, the fire is contained within another dimension. Open the dimensional portal and toss in any metal-containing substances to be completely refined. The purple flame holy fire can also be used to refine high-level artifacts and magic weapons. After reading the panel, Lu Yun was still clueless. Section 82. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why is the grade and quality listed as unknown? What does that even mean? Since we can't figure out the ring's grade or quality right now, let's focus on what it does and how powerful it is. That seems like the best approach. Then Lu Yun realized something else. He hadn't gotten any system notifications after getting the ring. Usually, when he acquired high-level treasures, he'd get bonus rewards, like the epic treasure chest he got with the colorful divine spring. But this time, nothing. Not even a basic prompt. Why no notification for such a big treasure? Could it be that this wasn't part of the system's intended plot? Maybe the supervolcano, which took millions of years to create that treasure, was just something I stumbled upon by pure luck. Maybe the system didn't anticipate this, so it's not reacting at all, that he couldn't figure it out, so he decided to focus on testing the ring's abilities to see if it was worth the trouble. Was it worth all the fighting? Just then, the Fire Angel Archangel, probably because her time was up or the event was over, stretched and said to Lu Yun in a sultry voice, I'm getting sleepy. Let's pick this up later, little brother. I'll come find you in 10 days. With that, she sashayed away, disappearing into the Golden Angel Temple. Josephine, always quick to speak his mind, blurted out, Master, this ring looks totally ordinary, not like some important treasure at all. That winged woman must have tricked you. Lu Yun smiled confidently, Relax, Lao Jin, she wouldn't lie to me. This plain-looking ring is definitely a mountain treasure born from the Titan volcano. Joseph Jean was still skeptical. But if it's such an important treasure, why isn't it glowing or radiating some kind of power? After all, it had sparked a bloody fight between powerful groups. It just didn't seem possible that it could be so normal. Lu Yun replied casually, if its power is really great, it's better that it looks ordinary. That way, it won't attract unwanted attention. Joseph Jean pressed, but what does it do? So many factions nearly bankrupted themselves trying to get it. If the effect isn't amazing, then it's not worth what they were willing to pay. Lu Yun rolled his eyes. I'm about to find out, aren't I? Tell some workers to grab a bunch of iron ore from the warehouse. Joseph Jean looked confused. Iron ore? What for? Does this ring have something to do with smelting? Lu Yun nodded. Yeah, the ring's function should involve smelting, tempering, forging, and weapon refining. I just don't know how powerful it is. Joseph Jean perked up at this, excited, since it related to his profession. He hurried off to organize the iron ore delivery. Soon, massive piles of iron ore were stacked in front of Lu Yun. He tried to mentally connect with the ring, but got nothing. He thought, does this require a blood sacrifice to unlock it, like in those novels? So he called for a knife, cut his thumb, and dripped blood onto the ring. Still nothing, Lu Yun sighed. He was clearly getting carried away with fantasy. If he couldn't control the ring, how would he control it? Then it struck him, he'd been studying the ring since he got it, but he hadn't actually worn it. Could it be that he had to wear it to control it? Thinking this, Lu Yun decisively slipped the ring onto his index finger. Suddenly, a connection formed. An inexplicable link between him and the ring. Lu Yun tried again to control it with his mind, open the dimensional door. There was a soft whoosh sound, a gate of light materialized from nothing, starting as a tiny point and expanding into an oval portal more than 6 feet tall. seeing the portal appear, Lu Yun knew he'd figured out how to use the ring. Turns out, he just needed to wear it. But wouldn't that mean whoever wears the ring can control it? That's not very secure. It means whoever has it, owns it, no restrictions. Lu Yun looked into the 6-foot-tall dimensional door. He could see straight through to the other side. Within the gate, purple flames burned intensely. They looked like normal fire, just purple. It didn't seem that impressive. It was just that the color was purple. Looking through the dimensional door, you could see a relatively small space with purple flames burning. In other words, standing in front of the door, you could see exactly what was on the other side, and vice versa. Boss, please hurry. This is too difficult. 0099 Joseph King was shocked. This is refined iron, the purest refined iron. Joseph King, with all his years of forging experience, thought the flames seemed weak. He complained, Master, you're saying the forging function of this ring uses this fire? I don't think it's very strong. It's much weaker than the fire that was erupting from the Titan volcano. The truly powerful flames were the erupting flames. This is why there must be a fan in the forging room. Lu Yun shook his head. You need to try it first. Don't jump to conclusions. Lu Yun was sure that such a major treasure wouldn't disappoint. Then he ordered, throw the iron ore in. That the workers obeyed, tossing basket after basket of iron ore into the purple flame holy ring's dimensional gate. Finally, Lu Yun got a system prompt. Detected that you threw iron ore into the purple flame space. Do you want to smelt it into pure iron, or directly refine it into a more advanced refined iron? Refined iron? What's that? Lu Yun decided to take things one step at a time. He needed to test it in stages. He mentally commanded, first, smelt the iron ore into iron. Instantly, all the iron ore inside melted. Then, he watched as the molten metal shrunk and a lot of it seemed to vanish. Lu Yun later learned that the purple flame holy fire was instantly melting, annihilating, and vaporizing all the non-metallic impurities, leaving behind only the purest iron. The laborers kept throwing iron ore into the purple flame space. It melted instantly. It turned into red molten metal, without any delay. This scene shocked Joseph King. Damn, this iron ore melts fast, doesn't it? It melts as soon as it goes in. How hot is this fire? Joseph King exclaimed in surprise, starting to realize that this fire was unusual. Lu Yun saw that there was enough iron ore inside, and this was just a test, so he stopped the laborers. Send out the smelted iron, Lu Yun commanded mentally. Should it be divided into multiple parts, or just integrated? Lu Yun thought it over and decided to integrate it first. Integrated. Suddenly, the large mass of molten iron began to deform. Section 83. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As if controlled by an unseen force, the molten iron began to solidify into a boxy shape. The fiery red molten iron began to cool. It cooled at a rate you could actually see, solidifying into real iron. Then, in a flash, it was launched. With a resounding bang, it landed squarely on the turtle's back. The big, square block of iron sat there for everyone to see. What was truly incredible was that just moments ago, it was a ball of fiery red molten iron, but now it had no temperature at all. Josephine's eyes widened in astonishment. This iron, it's unbelievable. He exclaimed. Lu Yun quickly asked, what's the big deal? Josephine, drawing on his years of forging experience, explained, this iron is incredibly high quality, pure iron. It's almost completely free of impurities. Weapons made from this stuff will be far superior to those made from ordinary iron. Far superior. Josephine was clearly amazed, and then pursed his lips, stopping himself from saying more. Lu Yun, sensing what he wanted to say, prompted him, spit it out, Joe. What's on your mind? Josephine then said, well, if that's all it does, this ring isn't really that special. It just smelts higher quality iron than regular pig iron. I don't think it's worth the kind of money those big shots would shell out to get their hands on it. Lu Yun smiled slightly. Did I ever say that's all it does? I was just testing its most basic function, smelting ore. Lu Yun paused, and continued, it seems to work great. Its efficiency at smelting ore is plain as day. Smelting any kind of ore or metal will be a piece of cake for us from now on. However, its real strength isn't just smelting. It can refine metal even further. It can take ordinary iron and turn it into fine iron. That the moment Joseph Jean heard the words fine iron, his expression completely changed. Boss, what are you saying? You're telling me this thing can make fine iron? Seeing how excited he was, Lu Yun figured this fine iron must really be something special. He asked, "You know about fine iron?" Joseph Jean exclaimed, "Know about it? I've worked with fine iron. Back in the day, the king of our dwarves asked my master to forge him an unbeatable weapon. He had us use the most powerful furnaces, the ones that reach deep into the earth, to refine the iron for my master. It took my master a whole century to refine a piece of fine iron about the size of a long sword. That piece of fine iron was eventually passed down to me. Then, I used it to forge the Heaven Cutter sword, which I presented to the Dwarf King. My king used that sword to win every battle and conquer all foes. He led our dwarf kingdom to unprecedented glory. That should give you an idea of how precious fine iron is. A weapon forged from just a small piece of fine iron can bring prosperity to an entire kingdom. If this ring can really refine fine iron, then it's absolutely worth fighting to the death for." Lu Yun was floored. Really? Was this fine iron that big of a deal? He'd have to try it out and see. Put that piece of ordinary pure iron into the purple flame space. Lu Yun ordered the workers to get started, but to his surprise, one or two of them couldn't even budge it. The iron was just too heavy. Lu Yun looked at it. The square block of pure iron was about 5 feet long, 5 feet wide, and 5 feet high. That's about 125 cubic feet. Given the density of iron, that block would weigh around 110,000 pounds. No wonder the workers couldn't move it. More workers were immediately called in to help. He made a mental note that when smelting metal in the future, it would be better to divide it into smaller pieces. The whole thing was just too heavy and difficult to move. Luckily, his workers were all level 10 and had been strengthened by the water of life for a long time. Each one was strong enough to lift at least 20,000 pounds. With 7 or 8 burly orc laborers, they quickly lifted the massive iron cube and threw it into the dimensional gate. 53,000 kilograms of iron detected. Refine into fine iron? Yes, 10,000 kilograms of ordinary iron will yield 1 kilogram of pure refined iron. You will receive 5.3 kilograms of refined iron this time. The flames in the purple flame space flared up, instantly engulfing the large iron cube. Then, something incredible happened. The huge piece of iron melted instantly. After turning into a pool of red molten iron, it began to evaporate. The amount of molten iron was visibly shrinking. The large quantity of red molten iron was getting smaller and smaller. When Joseph Jean saw this, his expression changed completely. He realized that this ring was defying the natural order. The amount of molten iron continued to decrease. Gradually, only a small puddle was left. It wasn't even as big as a fried egg. Finally, the refinement seemed complete. The small puddle of molten iron condensed instantly and turned into a round, red ball. Then, the purple holy fire receded. The red ball also began to cool rapidly. After turning into an ordinary black ball, it shot out and landed on the ground. Josephine's eyes widened. He ran out like a madman and picked up the metal ball in his hand. He studied it carefully, filled with admiration. The round ball was a little bigger than a quail egg, about half the size of a chicken egg. It was pitch black, with no shine, completely and utterly black. Joseph Jean was overcome with excitement. It's refined iron. The purest refined iron. It's far purer than the refined iron my master spent a century refining. It's true refined iron. 0.1 pound of pig iron yields 1 pound of refined iron. Just now, a super large cube of solid iron measuring 1.5 meters in length, width, and height weighed 53,000 kilograms. In the end, only 5.3 kilograms of refined iron were extracted. And this 5.3 kilograms of refined iron is only as small as 2 quail eggs. Lu Yun was inexplicably excited as he watched Joseph Jean stroking the piece of fine iron as dark as a black hole in his hand. Realizing this is probably a really big deal, otherwise, Joe wouldn't be so excited. He said to him, let me see that piece of fine iron. Josephine touched it again and again reluctantly, and said to Lu Yun, "Boss, this is really incredible. I, Josephine, have never seen such pure iron in my whole life of forging. The density is so high, unprecedented. Even the most violent flames in this world cannot produce pure iron of such purity. In the year of 257, my master and I, using the fire from the core of the earth thousands of meters underground, could make up to 5,000 kilograms of pig iron and refine 1 kilogram of refined iron. And to refine this kilogram of refined iron, it will take at least 7 or 8 months. And this ring can be made from 10,000 kilograms of pig iron to produce 1 kilogram of refined iron. Not only is it extremely pure, but the refining time is extremely short. It is so easy to refine 5 kilograms of iron. This terrifying efficiency is incredible. Boss, do you know what this means? It means that countless magical weapons made of fine iron can be equipped as standard on each of your soldiers. By then, it will be an invincible army." Lu Yun smiled casually and said, "Okay, don't get ahead of yourself. Just give me the fine iron already." Josephine reluctantly handed the fine iron to Lu Yun. Lu Yun took the small pitch-black iron ball and it suddenly sank in his hand, so small, yet so heavy. "The density is really huge. Hold it in front of your eyes and examine it carefully. Are the weapons refined with this thing really as powerful as Josephine said?" After carefully looking at the piece of pitch-black fine iron in his hand for a while, Lu Yun couldn't tell what the reason was for the time being. Then he told Josephine, "Okay, you've convinced me that this fine iron is all that. From now on, all the iron ore goes into the purple flame space to cook. Once it's all refined into fine iron, we'll see how many fine iron weapons we can make." Josephine said excitedly, "Boss, we don't have much iron ore left in stock in the warehouse, only about 2 million pounds. We've already used a lot of it, so there's more like 1.7 million pounds left. The iron content of this batch of ore is more than 50%, which means we can smelt more than 800,000 kilograms of pig iron. If we refine that into fine iron, we'll only get around 80 kilograms. You can't even make a long sword out of 80 kilograms of fine iron, because the density is so high. 80 kilograms of fine iron will only be enough for a dagger." Section 84. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Lu Yun heard this, a wave of dizziness washed over him. "So, from now on, this ring is just going to be a bottomless pit, huh? To refine enough fine iron, it'll need practically an endless supply of raw iron. Looks like iron ore deposits are going to be a top priority moving forward." Thinking about it, Akali's is basically his personal bodyguard now, watching his back 24/7, and doesn't she need a good dagger, too? He'd promised to forge her a decent one. What could be better than a dagger made of fine iron? So, he said to Josephine, "Hey, old Jean, since we only have enough ore to make a fine iron dagger, let's do that first and see what it's like. I want to see just how powerful a weapon made of this stuff can be." Josephine perked up. "Master, you won't be disappointed with fine iron weapons. They're practically magical. But, if we use all the ore to refine fine iron, the troops are going to have to wait on getting iron weapons." Lu Yun waved it off. "They can wait. Don't we still have a ton of copper ore in storage? Just toss it into the ring to refine, saves a lot of hassle. You can keep cranking out bronze weapons and armor for everyone." Then he added, "Once we're tapping into ore deposits on a large scale, we'll be able to mass-produce fine iron equipment for everyone. No need to rush the iron weapons rollout." Josephine was practically buzzing with excitement at the thought. "Master, you really scored big this time. It's unbelievable. This ring, nurtured in a volcano for thousands of years, it lives up to the hype. It's definitely worth all the blood spilled over it. I can't even imagine what it'll be like when our soldiers are decked out in fine iron armor and wielding fine iron weapons. They'll steamroll the battlefield and be unstoppable." Lu Yun was pleased, but knew they had a long road ahead. After all, it takes 10 tons of pig iron to get 1 ton of refined iron. Just imagine how much iron they'd need to refine. The prospect of fine iron weapons for everyone sounded great, but getting all that iron was going to be a huge undertaking. The girls, who'd been watching from the sidelines, were thrilled and rushed over to congratulate Lu Yun on snagging another insane artifact. They'd been hanging back, it wasn't their area of expertise, so they stayed out of it. They let Lu Yun and Joseph Jean talk. After telling Joseph Jean to refine the fine iron and process all the remaining bronze ore, Lu Yun called for Xiao Bailong. "What's up, boss?" Lu Yun was still thinking about checking out the fairy continent. After all, there were still 16 days left in the newbie zone trial. He asked, "Xiao Bailong, you know the fairy continent, right?" Xiao Bailong puffed out his chest. "Know it? Boss, I've been all over that place for a century. I know it like the back of my hand." Lu Yun nodded. "Good enough. Do you know which coastal city is the biggest one closest to us?" Lu Yun wasn't just planning on landing on the fairy continent, he wanted to hit up the big cities. Mostly, he wanted to make some deals. He'd made a killing trading with those sea merchants. He was hooked, buying up raw materials and flipping them for 100 times the price. It's a guaranteed profit. Who wouldn't want in on that? He was heading to a big city to do some serious shopping, stock up on all the stuff they were running low on. Little White Dragon piped up, "That'd be Shanghai City, no question. Huge coastal city, millions of people, and a major maritime trade hub." "How do you know so much?" Lu Yun asked. "Because I used to get into trouble in Shanghai City and those humans almost beat me to a pulp. Luckily, I bolted to the deep sea. They couldn't follow, so I got away." "Right on." So, with Little White Dragon guiding the way, Lu Yun steered the Black Tortoise toward the fairy continent. It was thousands of miles away, 4 or 5 days travel time. Heading for the ultimate destination in the newbie zone. To my readers, please subscribe. This book has never received any recommendations from Feilu. I'm almost hopeless. 0101 Fairy Continent, here we come. 5 days of development, strength skyrockets again. 0101. Fairy Continent, arrived. 5 days of development, strength skyrockets again. 5 days later, the 19th day in the Black Turtle Realm, a thin line of land appeared on the horizon. It was a long coastline, and Lu Yun knew their journey was almost over, finally leaving the ocean and landing on the mainland. In those 5 days, Black Turtle City had seen some major growth. First off, the Black Tortoise, thanks to Little White Dragon's fish hunting skills, was now 1.5 kilometers long. The specs were, Black turtle species, basalt turtle, shell size, 1,520 meters x 1,420 meters, sailing speed, 180 knots, building area, 1,420 meters x 1,320 meters, food intake, 56%, hunger, 13%, evolution, 88%, skills, waterland conversion, internal energy boost, energy cannon, energy shield, bone spur piercing. Over the last 5 days, besides gorging on all kinds of seafood, Lu Yun had been constantly feeding it 3-star water of life, evolving after reaching the 2-star basalt. Turtle bloodline wasn't going to be easy. In 5 days, the evolution rate had only gone up by about 20% per day. Judging by the trend, the Black Tortoise would evolve again tomorrow or the day after. Lu Yun also noticed something. As the Black Tortoise grew, its sailing speed had stopped increasing. Before, when it was only 1,200 meters, the speed was already 180 knots. Now it was 1,520 meters, and the speed was still 180 knots. Section 85. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yun knew for sure that standard feeding would keep the black turtle growing, but you can't grow and speed up at the same time. If he wanted to increase the black turtle's speed at its current size, he'd have to try something different, like evolution. That could probably do it, or feeding it strong fin fruit. That would probably work too. Maybe there were other options, but he wasn't sure yet. Here's a breakdown of the black turtle's growth over the past 5 days. The Black Turtle City has really expanded, especially the high-quality houses, the ones that fit 4 people. There were now 100 of them, all level 10. That was because Lu Yun had hired a ton of carpenters and stonemasons, and they were working overtime to crank out standard wooden boards. and standard square stones, that really ramped up the production of high-quality houses. As for the fancier, high-quality villas, the ones that could fit 10 people, they hadn't even started those yet. Not a single one built. Why? Because each one needed 5,000 standard wood boards, 5,000 standard square stones, 5,000 red bricks, 5,000 glazed tiles, 5,000 cement, and 500 pieces of glass. They were already mass-producing red bricks and glass in the advanced kiln room, but they hadn't gotten their hands on the purple sand needed for the glazed tiles yet, so, no glazed tiles, and cement needed volcanic ash and limestone, and those were also MIA. Without the materials, they couldn't build the advanced residential building. Lu Yun had expanded other types of buildings too, a lot more of each, no need to list them all. Moving on from buildings, let's talk about personnel growth. They currently had 200 hard laborers, 300 militiamen, and over 200 various technicians. They trained 200 of the militiamen to be great sword infantry. They practiced 100 battles swordsmanship every day and were really getting good at it. Another 100 had been trained to be artillerymen, 2 soldiers per fire element magic cannon. Since Lu Yun got the Purple Flame Holy Ring, Joseph King's forging efficiency had jumped by at least 50 times. Turns out the Purple Flame Holy Ring had another cool feature, the Purple Flame Space. Besides melting steel and refining copper, iron, and gold, it could also be used as the ultimate forging furnace. You could even control it with your mind to mold molten metal into specific shapes. That made things way easier for Joseph King. He could skip a bunch of tedious forging steps, like making the fire element magic cannon. Just the barrel alone used to take forever. Now, he could just use his mind, and boom, a standard barrel, done. The rifling, the array patterns, all that could be engraved with mind control. In one step, Joseph King forged 50 fire element magic cannons in a single day. Seriously, he just spent another day and cranked out a total of 100 magic cannons, 50 for regular use, and 50 for backup. As the city's population grew, training 200 artillerymen to operate 100 magic cannons at the same time wasn't out of the question, but having too many artillerymen right now wasn't ideal. For example, the fire magic stones needed to fire the fire element magic cannon. Lu Yun was running low. The soldiers had to conserve them during training. If there was a war, the consumption would be through the roof, and they'd run out even faster, so forging a maximum of 100 fire element magic cannons was the limit for now, because Joseph King's fire element magic cannons were way better than the U people's in terms of charging speed, firepower, and accuracy. Joseph King just chucked the Jiao people's 10 fire element magic cannons into the purple flame space to melt them down, recycling the materials for later. The 100 artillerymen had been practicing with the fire element magic cannon every day, working on the entire process and honing their accuracy. And they were making decent progress. As for the 200 great sword heavy infantrymen, they were all geared up with excellent bronze great swords and excellent bronze armor. Again, because the purple flame space could mold the bronze with thoughts, Joseph King could make bronze weapons dozens of times faster. Kitting out 200 guys was no sweat, plus, they had 500 sets in the warehouse. So recruiting another 500 militiamen and turning them into great sword heavy infantry was doable, but Lu Yun didn't have enough living space. After all, a bunch of Konoha elf girls had hatched recently, and those girls needed housing too. There were now 88 Konoha elf archers on Lu Yun's island. Lu Yun's housing situation. He'd torn down the basic, single cabins that could only fit one person. He didn't want to build any more double wooden houses for 2 people. They were too low rent, and the soldiers would get fed up with them as they got stronger. To build the higher level, high-quality houses, he needed a ton of standard wooden boards and standard square stones. Lu Yun had been working overtime to produce those 2 resources. After 5 days, he'd only built 80 level 10, high-quality houses, so construction demand was the bottleneck. If he could speed up construction and build more houses, then he could recruit more people and train more warriors. Lu Yun had given the little white dragons 100 small white jade dragons to raise. The little white dragons were responsible for the white jade dragons' development, teaching them hunting skills, and making them stronger. After 5 days, the 100 small white jade dragons had grown like weeds. They were each now 4 or 5 meters long. they soaked in the 3-star 7-color divine spring every day, making them crazy strong. Don't let their size fool you. If you let one loose, it could take down tigers and bears, no problem. Ants can kill elephants. If a bunch of these white snakes with their super strong bodies ganged up on something, it'd be a massacre. Lu Yun was happy with how fast the little white jade dragons were growing. He praised the little white dragons for taking such good care of them. Please subscribe. 0102 Landing on the fairy continent, activating the ultimate mission. Besides the building and population boom on Black Turtle Island, Lu Yun and his main crew had naturally gotten stronger from soaking in the 3-star life spring water every day. These days, Lu Yun, Sai, Naya, and Akalis would take a dip in the 7-colored divine spring whenever they had a chance, because the 3-star life water was seriously good for you. Take Lu Yun, for example. His muscles were crazy strong now. He could punch with 15,000 units of explosive force. The life water was a quality enhancer, meaning, even though Lu Yun's muscles were buff, he wasn't bulky, he was still tall, lean, and good-looking. His skin looked better too. He was even more handsome and had this compelling aura. Besides the muscle boost, his nerve reflexes were faster, he could take a beating, his endurance was up, and he healed faster after getting hurt. A whole chain reaction of perks from boosting his vitality. The stronger your vitality, the harder you are to kill. Section 86. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just like a beetle, tough as nails, he bounced back no matter what life threw at him. Same went for the girls and Joseph Jean. Their energy was off the charts lately, Joseph King especially. He'd built himself a big wooden tub, and every night after work, he'd soak in it. That was his idea of heaven. He was loving life, of course. It wasn't just Lu Yun and the main crew who were getting a boost. Everyone in Black Turtle City, soldiers, workers, technicians, was feeling the effects. They weren't just bathing in the water of life, they were drinking it, cooking with it, the whole shebang. With that stuff woven into their daily lives, their vitality was naturally skyrocketing, especially the militia, the Konoha elf girls, and the bugbears. They were combat units. After all, Lu Yun was laser-focused on training them. Besides the daily drills, they got to soak in tubs full of the water of life. Their energy levels were through the roof, way more than the non-combat folks. And the bugbears? Forget about it, they were beasts. Their strength, their raw strength, exploded, and they got bigger. The more energy they had, the bigger they got, the more muscle they packed on. The biggest bugbear now stood at a solid 11.5 feet tall. A monster like that, muscles bulging everywhere, was a force to be reckoned with. Imagine unleashing that on the battlefield. Pure chaos. I forgot to mention the bugbears back in the character intro. My bad. Building bugbear huts didn't take much, just wood and stone. For Lu Yun, that was peanuts, so he cranked out 100 bugbear huts in the last few days and maxed them all out to level 10. That gave him 100 bugbear slots. He filled them all, no hesitation. Boom. 100 terrifying bugbears at his command. The only catch with recruiting bugbears at level 10 was the price. 10,000 kilograms of food and 100 gold coins. For a newbie, that was an insane amount, but for Lu Yun? Small potatoes. Pocket change. Lastly, a quick update. Remember those colorful rice crackers at the bottom of the colorful divine spring? When he'd first tossed them in, they were just tiny sprouts, but the 3-star water of life turned them into freaks of nature. They grew bigger every single day. Now, each shell was at least 3 feet long. As the giant black turtle lumbered closer to the mainland, Lu Yun scanned the horizon. Land, everywhere, he knew it. No more islands. They'd finally reached the end of the newbie world, the fairy continent. Lu Yun felt a rush of excitement. Was his hunch right? After all the trials, after hauling across the ocean to this faraway continent, would the plot unfold like he expected? Maybe he was just getting ahead of himself, but either way, he was here now. Time to explore this continent and never look back. Just then, Xiao Bailong zipped over and said, "Master, we're almost on land. Shanghai City, the place I was telling you about, is about 100 miles south. I know this area like the back of my hand. I used to raise hell around here." Lu Yun couldn't help but roll his eyes. "You're a regular celebrity." Xiao Bailong, seeing Lu Yun's expression, rushed to explain, "Master, don't worry. I've changed a lot since then. I've evolved into a real dragon. Those land-dwelling humans won't even recognize me." Then, puffing out his chest, he said confidently, "Besides, Master, you're so powerful in Black Turtle City, and I'm a dragon. Who's gonna mess with us?" Lu Yun was starting to think this dragon talked too much. He hadn't even said anything, and it was already running its mouth. He just gave it a deadpan look and said, "All right, enough chatter. Let's get to shore first, then we'll figure out when we're hitting Shanghai City, if at all." "Okay, I'm out of here." With that, Xiao Bailong zoomed off, landing near the black turtle's tail. The black turtle's back was now over half a mile long, plenty of space for the little white dragon, even at over 650 feet long. It could zip around without feeling cramped or confined. Boom. The black turtle's massive body slammed into the continental shelf. Finally, they'd landed. Lu Yun immediately ordered the black turtle to shift into land mode and keep moving forward. The turtle's flippers began to morph, growing thicker and sturdier. One by one, they transformed into colossal legs, like elephant trunks, for huge legs. Lifted the massive shell off the ground. Because the black turtle was so enormous, even though its limbs weren't long proportionally, that they still stood at least 1,000 feet tall. By standing up like that, Black Turtle City rose into the air. The bottom of the turtle's shell was a solid 600 feet above the ground. Damn! Lu Yun was floored. He hadn't realized the black turtle was so massive. It towered over everything, dwarfing even the biggest trees. Thump. Every step the black turtle took left a crater in the ground, sounding like an avalanche. Land wasn't exactly the black turtle's forte. It couldn't sprint like it did in the ocean. On land, it moved at a snail's pace, a gigantic snail's pace, from a human perspective, while the turtle lifted its feet slowly. Each stride covered hundreds of yards. So, it wasn't actually that slow, it was clocking about 30 miles per hour, just as Lu Yun steered the black turtle onto the fairy continent. A booming voice echoed in his mind. Congratulations. You are the 10,086th person to successfully set foot on the fairy continent, the land at the end of the ocean, since the black turtle realm opened its doors to other worlds. This journey spans hundreds of thousands of miles. You must have overcome countless obstacles and endured tremendous hardship along the way. As a newcomer to the Black Turtle world, your spirit of exploration and adventure is commendable. You now have an opportunity to face the ultimate challenge in the novice world. Succeed, and you will receive the ultimate reward. Do you wish to begin the challenge now? Note, you may accept the challenge at any time. Once you accept, the ultimate challenge will begin immediately. However, if you are not ready, you may prepare and choose to start later. You must initiate this challenge within 30 days of the novice period. If you fail to do so, the challenge will be considered failed. Lu Yun nearly jumped out of his skin. He'd been right. There was an endgame plot. Thanks to everyone who kept pushing me for updates. Here you go. 0103 The Ultimate Challenge, Zombie Apocalypse. Lu Yun checked his mission panel, and sure enough, there it was. The Ultimate Challenge, resist a relentless zombie horde from the fairy continent. Challenge reward, the ultimate treasure in the novice world, mysterious mythical treasure box 11. Task Tip 1, to date, 10,085 adventurers in the Black Turtle world have explored the fairy continent and triggered the ultimate challenge. All have failed. This challenge is extremely difficult. Task Tip 2, this challenge is unique. Once someone succeeds, it will never be offered again. The victor claims the one and only ultimate treasure in the novice world. Task Tip 3, the ultimate challenge is incredibly difficult, far beyond the capabilities of novice Black Turtle City lords. As a newcomer to the Black Turtle world, your chances of success are slim. Be prepared to run, or risk being overwhelmed by the zombie horde. Task Tip 4, the horde will only appear on land. You must be on land to activate this mission. Retreating into the sea will end the zombie attack, but will also forfeit the challenge. Task Tip 5, you cannot start this task near any indigenous settlements in the Black Turtle world. You cannot enlist the aid of any indigenous people. If more than 10 indigenous people are within a 30-mile radius, the task cannot be activated. Section 87. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yun finished reading the entire description of the ultimate challenge. It was packed with info. He boiled it down and here's what he got. There were 10,085 newbie city lords who'd landed on Fairy Continent. Lu Yun didn't buy that so many adventurers just stumbled onto this continent. No way. He knew firsthand how tough that journey was, just the distance alone. It was across an ocean that no new city lord could realistically cross, only those ocean whirlpools offered a sliver of hope, and it wasn't like everyone had leveled up as much as he had during the newbie phase to boost their black turtle speed to 180 knots, so even if people made it through a whirlpool, they still had a long way to go to reach Fairy Continent. Ordinary black turtles, crawling along at 20 knots, wouldn't cut it. More likely, one especially lucky player hit the whirlpool and got teleported close to Fairy Continent. By sheer luck, they landed there and triggered the ultimate challenge, without even completing it. After they got out, they blabbed about their experience, which drew a bunch of people eager to test the waters. Tons of folks tried everything to get to Fairy Continent at the ocean's edge. Eventually, a few more lucky stiffs managed to land and activate the challenge, a unique challenge with a huge reward. Once that was confirmed, the bigwigs back on Tianlu Star took notice. The military and major civilian outfits started planning for this ultimate challenge. So, in the years that followed, countless newbie black turtles set sail, one after another, all to find that whirlpool, reach the legendary Fairy Continent, and trigger the challenge, but it was all so random. Not everyone finds a whirlpool. And even if they do, not every whirlpool spits them out near Fairy Continent, some end up even farther away. Plus, in the Black Turtle realm, you can only talk to players within a 100-mile radius. Even for a huge organization, like the military rounding up 1 million newly adults to enter the Black Turtle realm at once, they can only talk to maybe 100 of each other. Ever since Tianlu Star launched the Black Turtle realm, all countries went nuts encouraging people to have kids, trying to get more people in there. The planet's population ballooned to over 20 billion, at least 200 to 300 million people land in the Black Turtle realm newbie zone every year. These folks are scattered randomly across the safe sea area. That means no matter how powerful you are back on Tianlu Star, even if you can send 1 million people into the Black Turtle realm, they can't all stick together. They're broken up into smaller groups, each with their own thing going on. Once they're in, they get a special chat code in the Black Turtle realm to link up. If the code matches, they're on the same team, and they can find each other and join forces, so they level up together. Sometimes, a group will pool all their resources into one person, using a feed the beast strategy to get one player ahead. Then they start hunting for the whirlpool, hoping for a lucky break. Only a few find one, and even fewer get teleported close to Fairy Continent. Only a tiny handful manage to land there. And they're usually well prepared, but even then, they all failed. Nobody's cracked the code on this challenge yet. That's because the big players, desperate for that ultimate treasure, started sending waves of people to chase the dream on Fairy Continent, and there are plenty of independent dreamers, too. That's how the number of successful landings reached 10,085. Otherwise, without that large-scale human push, maybe 100 people would have stumbled onto Fairy Continent by chance, but not over 10,000. Based on all this, Lu Yun figured that this ultimate challenge must be insanely difficult. Even those elites, armed with intel and fully prepped, kept failing. Lu Yun knew he couldn't afford to slack off. He had to be super prepared before even thinking about starting the challenge. Otherwise, if he messed up, he'd regret it forever. The task info said the challenge was to survive a zombie wave. That wave had to be terrifying, right? It made Lu Yun think of a zombie apocalypse. Also, if there were more than 10 natives within 50 kilometers, you couldn't start the challenge, so even smooth talkers couldn't use natives to cheat their way through. If you could find a place to launch the challenge, you could start it. Then Lu Yun could just head to Shanghai City and start there. The zombie horde hits Shanghai City, and the city guards defend it. Easy peasy. The task info also mentioned several times that if things got too hot, you could retreat to the sea and be safe. It seemed like the challenge designer had a conscience. Since this thing sounded so tough, they were giving the new city lords a way out, so it wouldn't be a total wipeout. That implied you could park your black turtle near the shore and start the ultimate challenge. If things went south, you could bail immediately, hit the sea, and you're good. Of course, the challenge would be considered a failure. Lu Yun didn't even consider that, if he couldn't handle this zombie wave, he couldn't imagine anyone in the newbie zone pulling it off. His progress in the newbie zone had been almost godlike. He doubted anyone in history had leveled up better than him here. If he couldn't ace this ultimate task, who could? Okay, Lu Yun was confident he could nail the ultimate challenge, but he wasn't jumping in just yet. He still needed to hit up Shanghai City, see if he could find ways to boost his strength even more. Besides, it was still early, only day 19 in the newbie zone. He'd wait another 10 days, until day 29, before taking on the challenge. Another 10 days of growth, and Lu Yun was sure he'd crush it, no chance of failure. Section 88. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Eclipse. Boom. Crash. Each step the mountain-sized black turtle takes crushes several trees. Its massive feet leave craters 10 meters deep. Lu Yun's destination is Shanghai City. According to Xiao Bailong, it's just over 100 miles south. Since Shanghai City is on the coast, they could travel there faster by sea, but Lu Yun wants to test the black turtle's land speed and endurance. Crawling on land is much harder than swimming in the ocean. Its immense weight is supported by the water. All it needs to do is paddle its fins to move. On land, it has to support its entire mountain-like body with its legs and move forward step by step. This is exhausting for the black turtle. That's why Lu Yun needs to test its land capabilities to better plan for the future. The black turtle had been walking on land for a while. Tsai and Naya joined Lu Yun to enjoy the view from above. The black turtle's belly alone was over 200 meters high. Standing on its back, Naya and the others were 600 or 700 meters above the ground. It was like looking down from an airplane. Naya sighed. Finally, we're out of the endless ocean and on land. The scenery is so beautiful. Lu Yun smiled. The scenery is beautiful now, but I'm going to make you even more beautiful later. Naya's eyes lit up. Master, are you going to buy us new clothes? Lu Yun nodded. Yes, you're all beautiful, but you're wearing simple linen clothes. Such basic clothes don't do your beauty justice. Naya grinned, showing her pearly white teeth. She smiled brightly. It's better on land, with human cities. If you need something, you can just go to the city and buy it. Unlike the ocean, where there's nothing but water, it's so lonely and boring. Yeah. Lu Yun agreed. He noticed Tsai looking sad. He asked, Tsai, have you ever been on land? Tsai shook her head. I've only stayed on the coastal rocks. This is the first time I've been this far inland. Lu Yun asked, so you're a little melancholy and unhappy? Tsai admitted, a little, because I'm still not used to leaving the sea I grew up in for a completely unfamiliar place. Lu Yun comforted her, it's okay. You'll get used to it. Tsai nodded obediently and murmured, as long as I'm with my brother. Lu Yun patted her head affectionately. Brother will always protect you and never let anyone hurt you. Okay, Tsai said happily. Naya, standing beside them, envied their closeness. Sister Tsai, don't worry. Our master is so kind and won't let you down. Even though you've left the ocean, land has its wonders too. We're going shopping in the city, and there will be tons of stuff. If you see something you like, just tell me, and the master will buy it. Okay. Tsai agreed again. Lu Yun's goal this time wasn't just to buy clothes and daily necessities. He wanted to buy higher quality clothing, necessities, furniture, and bedding for everyone. This would significantly improve their quality of life. When people live better, they'll be happier and work harder. He also planned to stock up on essential supplies like firewood, rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and tea, with better seasonings. The island residents' food could be more delicious. Of course, Lu Yun wanted to improve Black Turtle City in general. He envisioned garden pavilions, greenery, small parks, and a beautiful environment. He'd gradually develop these things as the city thrived, but the main purpose of this trip was to boost their military strength. His biggest goal was to figure out what raw materials were needed to refine the Black Turtle internal energy bead. Then he could start gathering them. Once he had enough, Joseph King could start refining them. Even if Joseph King had never refined weapons before, he could learn through practice. Eventually, Joseph King would become skilled, increasing the success rate. Then, he could refine a lot of black turtle inner energy pearls. The more inner energy pearls the black turtle ate, the more its energy would increase. It could also strengthen its skills or learn new ones. This was a direct way to greatly improve the black turtle's power. With more inner energy pearls, the black turtle's energy shield would be stronger. The corpse tide would have a harder time breaking through it. That would make defeating the corpse tide much easier. While the corpse tide was attacking the shield, Lu Yun and the others could safely shoot them from inside. They could kill countless zombies without getting hurt. Therefore, the longer the energy shield could last, the better, and the more black turtle inner energy pearls they had, the better. Thinking of this, Lu Yun immediately called Joseph King. Joseph King arrived and greeted him with a smile. "Master, what can I do for you?" That they were familiar with each other, so Joseph King was a bit casual. His salute wasn't as formal as before. Lu Yun cut to the chase. "I gave you a secret manual, the secret method of refining black turtle inner energy pearls, a few days ago. I told you to read it quickly. Have you?" Joseph King laughed. "Master, don't worry, I did." "Good," Lu Yun said, praising him, and then asked, "What raw materials do we need to refine the black turtle inner energy pearl?" "Tell me now. When we go to the city, we need to focus on collecting these materials, because I want you to refine the black turtle inner energy pearl as soon as possible." He added, "The more, the better." Joseph King said confidently, "Master, I've spent the past few days looking into the raw materials needed to refine the black turtle inner energy pearl in detail. The main ingredient is a crystal called the seven-colored spirit crystal. This crystal is extremely rare and hard to find. Secondly, a fruit called Tianlingzi is crucial. This Tianlingzi fruit tree only bears one fruit in its lifetime. When the fruit ripens, the tree withers immediately. But it's not actually a fruit, it's an extremely hard substance. I don't know what it is exactly. It looks like a wooden ball, but it's tougher than iron. This Tianlingzi is also a key material for refining the black turtle inner energy pearl. It's also rare and precious and not easy to find. Finally, there's a giant pearl. All the materials for the black turtle's inner energy bead will eventually be integrated into this giant pearl. These are easier to come by than the first two materials and can usually be purchased at jewelry stores. There are also other secondary materials. They are high-end and expensive, but available in the market. Money shouldn't be a problem for you. Just sell one life pearl, and the money in the warehouse will be practically unlimited." Chapter 89. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, time to refine those black turtle internal energy beads. Once I nail down the process, I can mass-produce them. Master, you won't believe how powerful the black turtle will become. Lu Yun was stoked about that prospect. Right on. The stronger, the better. I want the black turtle's energy to be endless, so its shield can never be broken. Then we'll be totally invincible. Josephine chimed in, totally. Imagine this, a non-stop energy shield, the enemy fighting day and night, but they can't break through. They'll be crushed, then, nobody can mess with Lu Yun. Lu Yun circled back to the iron. Hey, refining that fine iron sucks up pig iron like crazy. You should head into the city and buy a ton of metal. I'm putting you in charge of this. Josephine, always eager to please, agreed. Master, don't worry, I know all the best places to buy iron. I'll bring back mountains of pig iron at a steal. Lu Yun waved it off. I've got plenty of cash. I'll sell a few life pearls when I hit the city and have more money than I know what to do with. Don't sweat the bargain too much, and don't push the price too low. That wastes time. Iron isn't that expensive. Our time is precious. Josephine was casual. Master, you don't get it, I've been blacksmithing my whole life. I know this game inside and out. Trust me, I can outsmart those price gougers in a heartbeat and it won't take any time at all. Seeing how adamant he was, Lu Yun gave in. Alright, if you're an expert, go for it. But for everything else, just get a fair price. Remember, time is more important than saving a few bucks. Josephine nodded. Okay, master. What else do you need me to pick up? Lu Yun then tasked Josephine with buying oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, all sorts of daily stuff, furniture, and bedding. Besides the key ingredients for the black turtle inner energy beads, Josephine would also get any other materials they could buy at a decent price. Originally, Lu Yun had planned to have Josephine buy clothes for himself, Kai Yi, the other girls, and the residents too. Lu Yun would focus on getting info about the colorful spiritual crystals and Tianlingzi, then he stopped himself. Josephine's a tough dude. If he has to buy clothes for the girls, what would he get? He'd never pick out any good-looking clothes for the residents. Lu Yun realized he'd have to handle that himself. He'd take the girls to the city, get them the most expensive and beautiful outfits. After hammering out the details with Josephine, they finalized the division of labor and shopping lists. When they got to the city, they would split up and do their own thing. Lu Yun would wrangle the girls. Josephine could be a mechanic or day labor, whatever he preferred. The massive black turtle lumbered along the coastline toward Shanghai City. Before long, Lu Yun and the others, perched on the turtle's back, could make out the city on the horizon. Being up so high really helped with the view, plus, everyone's eyesight was sharp. It was a huge city, stretching on for miles. By ancient standards, this city was enormous. It had to be the most happening place around. As they got closer to Shanghai City, they saw more and more land caravans. People were marching in groups, headed toward the city, or, the caravans were leaving Shanghai City, bound for other places. Most of these caravans used animals, huge, docile beasts pulled or carried carts. And warehouses. The carts and warehouses were massive, holding tons of goods. There were horse-drawn carriages too, carriage after carriage, all in a row. Compared to the larger animals, these seemed small. Sometimes, they'd see giant black turtles with warehouses strapped to their backs. People would sit on the turtle's back, guiding it down the road, but these black turtles were only big compared to other transport animals. Next to Lu Yun's behemoth, it was like a baby meeting its ancestors. They weren't even in the same league. Those turtles were big for transport animals, maybe 10 times bigger than some others, but comparing them to Lu Yun's turtle was like comparing a mouse to an elephant. Lu Yun cruised along, his massive turtle crushing the ground with a deafening roar. Everyone stopped to gawk at the monster. They stared in wide-eyed horror and scattered out of the way. This turtle was a walking skyscraper, hundreds of feet tall. If it stepped on them, they'd be flattened, families destroyed, everyone gone. They couldn't afford to tick it off, not even a little, and anyone who could train a turtle like that had to be a serious player. The guy sitting on its back was probably some big shot from out of town. If there was a black turtle that was too huge in size near Shanghai City, then many people must have seen it and will have an impression, but this one in front of me has obviously never been seen before. That must be a big shot from out of town. So, when everyone saw the mountain-sized super turtle in the distance, they freaked and got out of the way fast. They weren't about to anger someone that powerful. Commercial activity was booming on the roads near Shanghai City. The sea was buzzing with trade, too. Lu Yun saw tons of merchant ships and cargo-carrying turtles on the way, but even those turtles were nothing compared to his. After this observation, Lu Yun had one thought: his turtle was massive. He had the perfect way to stand out from the crowd. Soon, Lu Yun arrived on the outskirts of Shanghai City. A squad of soldiers approached from a distance. They stopped below the turtle, looked up, and started waving. They were shouting something. Lu Yun's hearing was now much better than that of ordinary people, and he could hear clearly immediately. "Hey, Black Turtle City Lord. City regulations state that giant turtles aren't allowed inside the city. We can't accommodate it. We ask that you please stop here, get off the turtle, and enter the city on foot." Of course, Lu Yun knew how much damage a giant turtle could cause inside the city. He wouldn't pull a stunt like that. He used his mind to control the turtle, making it slowly kneel and lower its body to the ground. The soldiers below had never seen anything like this turtle before. They were on edge. If it turned hostile, their squad would be wiped out. Thankfully, the Black Turtle City Lord didn't seem to want any trouble. The giant body began to slowly descend. All the soldiers breathed a long sigh of relief. The visitor was easy to talk to. The city guards weren't afraid of ordinary people at all, and even took the opportunity to bully and interrogate them. However, facing such a huge black turtle, they were still wary and did not dare to make mistakes. The black turtle crashed to the ground. The whole earth shook. Lu Yun's turtle was so massive that every move created a tremendous noise. "Alright, we're outside the city gates. Let's get ready to head down. Lu Yun walked to the edge of the turtle's back and saw how high up they were. When the turtle was in the sea, most of its body was underwater, so it didn't feel so bad. Now that it was completely on land, it was huge, near the coast. The terrain helped. When the black turtle reaches the shore, most of its body is still in the sea, and it does not appear to be that tall. Section 90. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, that's definitely too high, Lu Yun thought. Guess I'll need to scout out good landing spots near staircases when the black turtle hits land in the future. As if the black turtle heard him, the shell visibly deformed, section by section, into a flight of stairs. Soon, several stairs reached the ground. Sweet. Lu Yun thought. Didn't know the black turtle could do that. Shows what I know. So, he called out, Tsai, Naya, Akalis, let's head down first. Josephine, grab all the money left in the warehouse, it's yours to use. I'll be back to get more soon. If you run low, there's plenty more where that came from. Remember, buy in bulk. We need a constant, 24/7 stream of resources. Josephine eagerly agreed, Master, don't worry, I'll get everything on your list. Mission accomplished, guaranteed. Lu Yun nodded, pleased. Alright, let's split up and get to work. Then he turned to the girls. Ladies, shall we? Supported by 3 gorgeous women, Lu Yun started down the stairs. Then, something occurred to him, and he cautiously retreated back up. Little White Dragon, get all the heavy sword infantry, artillery, and Konoha elf girls assembled here, ASAP. Obviously, he was calling up the combat squad. Soon, everyone was lined up, ready for orders. Lu Yun addressed them, as the city lord of Black Turtle City, I'm going to Shanghai City to buy resources. I need to prepare for the possibility of someone trying something, plotting against me, or even trying to harm me. So, if the black turtle starts bellowing like crazy, that's your signal. Without hesitation, the artillery opens fire on the city. The rest of you, move in to escort me out. Got it? Understood. The response was loud and clear. Lu Yun was a good city lord, and no one wanted to see anything bad happen to him. They were all ready to risk their lives to rescue him. Little White Dragon's fate was tied to Lu Yun's. If anything happened to Lu Yun, Little White Dragon would die, too, so, in a crisis, it would be even more desperate to save him. Lu Yun could control the black turtle remotely, so the plan was solid. With his backup plan in place, Lu Yun finally left with the girls. Josephine smiled, impressed by her master's foresight. Setting up this plan was a smart move. It wasn't necessarily that anything would happen, but it was always good to be prepared. Plus, he couldn't just waltz into someone else's city with an army. Lu Yun led the 3 women to the ground, where 1,000 city guards had been waiting. One of them, who looked like a captain, stepped forward. You must be the owner of that giant black turtle. That's me. What's up? Lu Yun replied casually. The captain's expression shifted, and he quickly said, Oh, nothing, just a routine inquiry. Why bring such a massive black turtle to Shanghai City? Lu Yun shrugged. Just here to do some shopping, boost your city's trade, you know. The captain nodded vigorously, bowing. Yes, of course. Please, come in, come in. He gestured for them to pass. Lu Yun and the 3 women walked past. As the women passed, a wave of perfume hit the captain, making him dizzy. Meanwhile, the soldiers behind the captain were mesmerized by the stunning faces of Tsai, Naya, and Akalis. They stared, envious and excited. Tsai and the others were just that beautiful. Any one of them would be a showstopper, all 3 together. Forget about it. Heads were turning everywhere, so, under the watchful eyes of 1,000 city guards, Lu Yun and the 3 women strolled casually into the city. Once they were inside and out of earshot, the soldiers started chattering. Wow, who was that? He must be some rich kid. I envy the 3 beauties with him. They make my heart ache. That's living the dream. Worth being alive just to see them. Hey, what kind of pull does someone who can control a black turtle like that have? We're just gate guards, we're not even in the same league. Yeah, the status gap is too huge. We can only dream. Inside the city, Lu Yun took the girls shopping for clothes. The three girls unleashed their inner fashionistas, Naya, Akalis, and even Sai, who'd never been to the mainland before. All gravitated towards the bright and beautiful fabrics. Sai could now transform her legs, making it easy to walk around. She'd never imagined wearing so many pretty clothes before. Girls just naturally love to look good. Lu Yun told them to buy whatever they wanted, no matter how expensive. Besides clothes, the stores also sold fabrics. He bought tons of it. His generosity impressed the clothing store owners. He bought fabrics from every shop on the street. They just had to deliver it to the Black Turtle outside the city. The clothing store owners looked outside the city and were shocked. "Is that super giant black turtle really yours?" they asked. It was so big, like a mountain, you could see it clearly, even from inside the city. Lu Yun nodded. "Yep, that's mine. Just send the fabrics and clothes there." Who would doubt Lu Yun's wealth now? They hauled out their best fabrics, loaded them onto carts, and sent them to Lu Yun's Black Turtle. The word was out, a rich and powerful young man is in town. Not only did he never haggle, but he bought in huge quantities. Besides buying beautiful clothes for the girls, Lu Yun also bought lots of fabrics for the residents of his city. Finished clothes are not as versatile, but fabric can be transformed twice over, so, when Lu Yun brought it back, there was enough for everyone. He also had tailors in his city who could make clothes for everyone. Next, he needed to find out about colorful spiritual crystals and Tian Lingzi. First, though, he had to exchange some life pearls to get cash. He remembered hearing in the chat room that the indigenous cities had shops specializing in black turtle-related business. They were high-end stores with high prices. Everyone in the Black Turtle world knew how important they were. Training a black turtle to the max could unlock anything. Black turtles could fight, transport goods, siege cities, you name it, they could do it. Lu Yun asked around for the biggest black turtle merchandise store in Shanghai City, which was called Golden Turtle Tower. He headed straight for it. The building was made of gold, or at least gold-plated, and glittered in the sun. This place is a little gaudy, Lu Yun thought, but the fact that it could be so flashy in the middle of a bustling city proved that the store was powerful. That's exactly the kind of store Lu Yun was looking for. Otherwise, it would be hard to sell his life pearls. Regular merchants wouldn't be able to afford them. 0107 Lord of Blood Shark Castle.